In this video, I'm going to talk about layout XML, the purpose of layout XML, how it looks like, what is its purpose, and how can we generate a layout XML. Now, the layout XML basically looks somewhat like this. So, it has an opening tag of grid, row, and cell. So the top level is a grid, then there is a row, and then there is a cell. And there can be multiple cells depending on your how the view is structured. You can have those cells defined. Now, if you closely watch this case layout.xml, which I have generated using the case table, it talks about first the grid, which is closed over here. Grid has a name, it has an object, it has a jump attribute, it has a select attribute, an icon attribute, and a preview attribute. Row has a name and an ID attribute, and cell has a name and a width attribute. Now, basically, a layout XML is used to configure the width of the column which it represents. So, take for example, the title has a width of 300 pixels. Created on has a width of 150 pixels, and ticket number has a width of 150 pixels. So just by looking into this layout XML, you can easily see there are three columns, and all these columns has a specified width. So one is 300, second is 150, and third is 150. Now, other than that, you can also specify an icon for a specific column, which I'm going to cover once I show you the actual generation of layout XML. So let's see how it works in action. So take for example, you have a simple table called as accounts. Now, what I've done, I have created a simple app here. And here I have, it is a world app and it has world table, account table, contact table, activities, notes, users, entry ID table. Now we'll just focus on account table for a moment. In account table, as you see over here, this one is a view. So you can select multiple view. Now the one view which we are talking about is my active accounts. Now, my active accounts has account name, main phone, address, one, primary contact, email, and establishment date. So there are six columns, which in view layout terms, we call it as a cells. Now, this header is just one row. Okay. Now, how do we generate the layout XML? So for that, what you need to do is like you need to go to Power Platform Admin Center and make sure that against your environment, the you have the latest Power Platform release wave version. So, if as you see over here in this environment, for the update section, you might have seen that this particular environment does not have 2024 release wave one. So, what you need to do, you need to turn this on. 2024 release wave 1. So for preview environment over here, there is no release wave 1 enabled, but for my other environment, say Girish Dev. So if I select Girish Dev, if I click on detailed view, here you will see that release wave 1 is on. And if you turn it on, then you will be able to download the layout XML. Now, this environment where this app is hosted, this is Girish Dev environment. Here, this is a list, there is a view. And if you want to download the layout XML, you just click on edit columns. Click on edit columns, and there will be an option called as download layout XML. Now, this is not available for the previous version, so it is available in the newer version. So make sure that you are on the latest version, and then you can download the layout XML. Now, let me download the layout XML. It will warn you, and once you are okay with it, you can open this file. Now, let me show you how this file looks like. So, first one is grid, second is row, and then there will be cell. Now, how many cells? Let's see. We have seen that there are six columns. So if you closely watch, there are six columns over here. One, two, three, four, five, and there is a sixth one. And it is closing with row, it is closing with grid. So grid, name is result set, object is one, jump is name, select is one, icon is true, preview is one. So I'm displaying the icon for that grid. Row, this is the header row basically, which has a primary identifier as account ID, and these are the cells. Okay, now cells are basically the columns which you see in the view, so like name, telephone, address, one, primary contact, account, and establishment date. Now along with it you can specify the width. So if you see here, the name has 203 width, 100, 150. You can actually configure this width. And also here you have another attribute called disable sorting equal to 1. Okay, so how do we configure the width of a particular cell? Okay, now if I go into this in the backend, basically if I go into the account table here, if I go to the views, and if I go to the correct view, which is my active accounts view, I can open this view. I can open this view in the editor, and from here I can actually configure what columns I want. So if I do not want the establishment date, I can just right click and remove this. If I do not want the address column, I can just right click and remove it. If I want the account name, now the account name, if I click on edit properties, it says 203 pixels. Maybe I want 350 pixels, which it will not allow, because it will say input value is greater than the maximum value allowed for this table column is 300 pixels. So stay within the limit of 300 pixels. I'll put 290 and I'll say okay. Primary contact, again I will put 230, and this is how my view looks like. Now in this view I have four columns and I have changed the width as well. So here you will see 290 pixels, and for primary contact I have 230 pixels. Click on save and publish. Once you do that, and then you need to come into the app and then refresh this app. So let's give it a hard refresh. And once you refresh this app and open the accounts record, here you will see now there are one, two, three, four columns. Now within this four columns, again you go to edit columns and now download the layout XML. Now it will be different. So I'm opening this in Visual Studio Code. Again, we'll do the same thing. We'll look into the row, we'll look into the cell, and here it's bit a short XML because we have reduced the column. So here you will see the cell as one, two, three, and four columns, and also the width has been changed. Now, why this is important, why layout XML is important, because you can use it programmatically. Now you can use layout.xml programmatically. Now if you go to the Microsoft Docs, here you will see customize entity views, and here they have given a nice explanation about how you can make use of layout XML. So if you're writing a C# code, then you can actually take the layout XML. This is actually a layout XML, as you see over here, grid name, row, cell, and you can even use fetch XML to store it in a variable and then manipulate the outcome and run the saved query in C sharp. So you can use a programmatic way of updating those particular layout items. Along with that, if you want to have say some JavaScript executed against some column, okay, then you can make use of layout XML. So I'll show you one example over here. So let me show you this example. Okay, so here if you see, this is again a layout XML. Now this is again similar to what I showed you, great layout, so on and so forth. But for this cell, like opportunity rating code, there is a width. Then there are two more parameters, as you see over here. Let me unzoom it. It's called as image provider web resource and then image provider function name. So you can write a simple JavaScript which will have this function name, and it will render that tooltip based on some condition. And you can even specify the web resource what needs to be displayed against a column. So that's also one of the benefit of using layout XML and programmatically manipulating the content of the column. So one example would be to view the column in this color, like red, yellow, and cyan. Okay, so like this, if you see over here in this column, how this has been done, this is done using layout XML. You have modified the layout XML and then you have programmatically added those icon and then call that icon based on some conditions. So example, if the color is, if the rating is cold, then show cyan. If it is red, show hot. So like this, you can also manipulate the layout XML's value. So that's it, folks. This is all about layout XML. It is different from fetch XML, although it follows the XML standard, but then it allows you to configure the width, specify the column, and at the same time allow you to change the icon of the column specified in the Dynamics 365 or Power Apps view. Thanks for watching.